Can you feel that? It's the hot stove heating up, people. The 2015 Major League Baseball winter meetings about to kick off in Nashville, Tennessee. Already a lot of rumblings, rumors, might even see some big-time transactions this week. David Price already signed with the Boston Red Sox, so that's one big free agent off the board. So guess what? We're going to sit here, we're going to talk a little bit about the offseason, the winter meetings, and hey, maybe you'll learn a little something. It's all coming up next on the NESN Hot Stove Report. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the NESN Hot Stove Report. I'm your host, Ricky Doyle. Joined now by NESN's Mike Cole. We're going to talk about the winter meetings a little bit. Mike, what are you most looking forward to down in Nashville, Tennessee this week?
I'm looking to see what the big market teams do. I think one team, the Boston Red Sox, has already made their splashes. They've made their moves. And now the dominoes need to fall. And I think we're looking at the big market teams like the Yankees, like the Dodgers, like the Giants, like the Nationals. What are these teams going to do moving forwards? It's been relatively quiet so far outside of the Red Sox and outside of the Tigers signing Jordan Zimmerman. So I think that there's still a handful of good free agents left and pricey free agents left. So I think that these teams kind of set the market and are going to continue this game of dominoes.
Yeah, I'm a little interested to see what happens with the closer market. You mentioned the Red Sox made splashes already. One of them obviously bringing in Craig Kimbrell.
Right.
And that really solidifies the back of their bullpen. But I'm anxious to see what these other teams, if somebody goes out and gets an Aroldis Chapman, a Mark Melanson, an Andrew Miller, Jonathan Papelbon. I mean, a lot of these guys have been mentioned in trade rumors. I mean, I'm anxious to see where these guys are pitching the ninth inning in 2016. But as I mentioned, Red Sox already got their closer. They still have some other needs, though, right? We'll send it down to NESN Sam Glenn. She's going to give us the Red Sox shopping list going into the winter meetings.
The Red Sox really need to restock the pantry this offseason, or rather, the roster. Atop their shopping list is starting pitching depth. The club got the ball rolling by agreeing to a deal with David Price, but the left-hander doesn't get to pitch 5 days a week, so they'll need more ingredients if they want to roll out a solid rotation. Boston's 2015 rotation was serviceable at best and volatile at worst, so the team could use a clear number 2 to bolster the rotation and provide reliable depth for spot starts. For the second course, they're gonna need better guys behind the starters too. The Red Sox had the worst bullpen in the major leagues last season according to Fangraphs, so needless to say, it could use some spicing up. Trading for Craig Kimbrell was a start, but they'll need more than just a closer to solve their problems. The Sox would also benefit from another player to fill the first base/designated hitter role. With David Ortiz retiring, Hanley Ramirez playing a brand new position, and Travis Shaw carrying just 65 MLB games under his belt, there are no guarantees for 2016 and beyond. A solid veteran with experience in those positions could provide the team with a cushion to fall back on.
Mike, you down to play a little MLB match?
I'd like nothing more.
Oh, fantastic. Let's figure out where these free agents are going to go. Because,
right.
Obviously the top dog, David Price, going to the Red Sox. But another guy out there is pretty intriguing from a positional player standpoint. Jason Hayward. Where do you think he's going?
I think he's going to end up in Anaheim with the Angels.
Right,
I just feel like every other year or so, the Angels kind of come out of nowhere and make a big splash. We've seen it in the past. I mean, we go back to Pujols. The Angels always seem to be the mystery team. I feel like it makes sense. I think they're in the next stage of moving forward. It's a guy they can build around for years. They have the money. And I mean, this guy's going to eventually, he already is one of the best players in baseball. I think he's only going to continue to get better. It makes a lot of sense for them to kind of transition moving forward, building around him.
Yeah, I think he's going to stay with the Cardinals. I mean, they got a lot of money to spend. According to reports, they just had that new TV deal that they signed. So got a lot of money to toss around. That's the type of guy, very underrated player too, if you ask me.
Yes.
Let's go to Chris Davis, because this is a guy that a lot of reports out there, the lack of reports, I should say. You don't really know where this guy's going to go. The Orioles bringing in Mark Trumbo. That maybe, I don't know if that eliminates them from the equation, but it certainly raises some questions. Davis, I first thought he was going to stay with the Orioles. Now I'm leaning towards the Astros. Just got rid of Chris Carter. Davis just seems like an Astro to me. Strikes out a lot, hits a ton of home runs. Perfect fit if you ask me.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm staying in that division. I'm going with the Mariners. I think you look at, they're under new management. They're trying to, a whole new regime change there. Again, there might be a little bit, apprehensive after all the money they gave Robinson Cano. Do you really want to invest that kind of money in a guy who just hits home runs and does really nothing else. I think it makes sense though. You can keep him at DH moving forward if you need to. I think that's a guy that you can make a splash with.
Going back out to the outfield, Justin Upton. He seems to be the next guy in the pecking order behind Haywood in terms of outfielders. Where do you think he's going to go?
I think he ends up in the Bronx, New York Yankees. I
Wow.
think the Yankees can't. I think they
Can't sit on their hands,
Yeah, and then they can say all they want that they want to spend. They're good where they are, but it's so weird to think that the Yankees might be laying in the weeds. But that's the way it kind of usually does go. And I think they strike the last minute and they add him, and I think he's a nice piece there. So I think that makes sense.
I'm going out west. I'm going to say the Angels. For many of the reasons that you mentioned with Hayward, I think they're going to make a splash. To me, that seems like the guy they're going to bring in. Well, the Red Sox, as mentioned, they already made noise, so we're going to go down to Darren Hartwell and Sam Galanis. They're going to say who they think they might also target coming up at the winter meetings.
Hello everyone, I'm Darren Hartwell here alongside Sam Galanis, and Sam already gave us our Red Sox shopping list, and now we're going to get into some specifics about which individual players to target. So Sam, let's talk about free agents first. What's one free agent you think the Red Sox should have their eye on?
Well, the Red Sox have a big need in their bullpen right now, so the best reliever on the market is another Darren and Darren O'Day. So he's been pretty much lights out since 2010, which is hard to find in a reliever, is consistent numbers. So the Red Sox can feel pretty safe with O'Day, especially because he's been pitching in hitters' ballparks between the Baltimore Orioles and the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, I like O'Day, and I'm going to stick with that theme too in terms of reliever. I'm going to go with Tony Sipp. I think one of the Red Sox big needs, in addition to a reliever, is finding a left-handed reliever in the back end of that bullpen. Now they have Craig Kimbrell and Koji there, but I think Sipp could be a strong left-handed arm in the back of that bullpen.
And as far as trades go, you can't get all of your pieces in free agency. So I think a good target for the Red Sox would be Shelby Miller. The Atlanta Braves have already showed that they're pretty much open to just trading their whole team, and Miller's included in that.
I'm going to go out on a limb for my trade target, and I'm going to go with Joey Votto, the Cincinnati Reds. Another team, the Reds, that are kind of looking to unload everybody. I think, obviously, Votto's pedigree speaks for himself. He has very high on-base percentage, led the MLB in walks last season. Obviously, Hanley Ramirez is the big first base name with the Red Sox now. I think Dombrowski could find a way to trade him, and then maybe package Jackie Bradley Jr., some prospects to the Reds, get a guy like Votto in there. I think he'd be a huge addition to this lineup.
All right, sounds good. So now we're going to kick it over to Ricky Doyle and his MLB Trade Machine.
Everyone likes to look into their crystal ball this time of year and pinpoint where certain players are going to end up. Heck, I did it earlier in the show. Why should we let the only contraption that we use here at the Hot Stove Report be a crystal ball? After going under the hood of the NESN MLB Trade Machine, I figured out 3 trades that I'd like to see happen this year. First off, I'd like to see the Los Angeles Dodgers trade Yasiel Puig to the Miami Marlins. Puig's polarizing antics are well documented, so it wouldn't be surprising if the Dodgers' patience is wearing thin. Sure, he has an extremely high ceiling, and LA would be selling low with Puig coming off a disappointing season, but shipping him to Miami seems just about right. And no, it's not because he'd be another dynamic player on a talented young roster. And no, not because he'd immediately be a superstar given Miami's proximity to Latin America. It's mostly because he'd be reunited with Don Mattingly, who was recently hired as the Marlins manager. I mean, those two pretty much hate each other, so wouldn't that be entertaining? And speaking of the Marlins, how about they trade Jose Fernandez to the New York Yankees? A recent report suggested Fernandez's attitude was getting on people's nerves in Miami. If that's the case, the Fish might want to cut bait and add to their prospect pool. Trading Fernandez undoubtedly would accomplish that. And, you know what? I'd like to see Fernandez in a big market. I mean, the kid's filthy. And finally, let's go with Sonny Gray to the Cubs. The A's have said they're not trading Gray, but the Cubs have the resources to be creative. And putting the Gray in a rotation with Jake Arrieta and John Lester, among others, that seems kind of fun. Anyways, it's been a while since the Cubs enjoyed that whole World Series thing. They could use some sunny days. All right, we're back in the NESN studios. I'm Ricky Doyle, joined now by Sam Galanis. Sam, one of the biggest things the Red Sox have going for them right now is their youth. A lot of young talent, good young talent, top to bottom on their roster. In your opinion, as they go into the winter meetings and moving forward in this offseason, who should be absolutely untouchable?
I think you have to go with Xander Bogaerts and Mookie Betts. They had great seasons, obviously, and with their age, you have to imagine that they're only going to be getting better. Yeah,
I mean, so young, yet already proven major league talent. I mean, those are two guys that, you try to build your team around them rather than give them away. Now, from a prospect perspective, I mean, a lot of good young farmhands that the Red Sox have. They gave a pretty good haul for Craig Kimbrell, but they hung on to their top guys. One guy for me that I would just deem untouchable is Yoan Moncada, and they made a pretty sizable commitment to this guy. 5-tool potential, could be the heir apparent to Dustin Pedroia if they keep him at second base. Very versatile, athletic. To me, just an all-around, just a talent that you look at him and say, that guy might be a superstar down the road. I don't know if you agree with that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They picked him up as a teenager, so you can only imagine that this is a good place for him to start coming over to the big leagues from Cuba at this age rather than someone like Rusney Castillo who was older.
We'll see what happens. I mean, you got to give up talent to get talent. Dave Dombrowski showed a willingness to wheel and deal, so we'll see what happens. But as far as the rest of Major League Baseball goes, we're going to send it down to Darren Hartwell and Mike Cole right now. They're going to give us some MLB percentages. See what that's all about, huh?
Thanks, Ricky. In this next section of the MLB Hot Stove, we're going to take a look at some MLB percentages. We're going to break down the chances of some things happening this offseason. And first up is pitcher Johnny Cueto. What are the chances, do you think, that Cueto gets a better contract than Johnny Lester got last year?
I think right now I would put it at about 40% chance. I still think when you look at the two guys, and you especially look at their, what Lester had done in the postseason heading into last offseason. Granted, Cueto was good in the World Series this year. I think you look at Lester's postseason heroics and the fact that he's left-handed. I think it made sense, and the Cubs need to make a splash there too. So I think when it's all said and done, Lester will have a little bit more than Cueto.
I'm going to go a little bit above that. I'm going to say 51%. I'm going to go right over 50. I think two factors. One is David Price, the big contract that he got, that kind of bumps the market up a little bit. And obviously the Royals winning the World Series kind of puts that price. Cueto was good in the playoffs at times. So I think that kind of boosts his value there.
Also, Cueto just reportedly turned down 120 over 6, so that's kind of setting where he's at and what he's looking for.
Final question. We're going to turn to the Red Sox now. What are the chances do you think this team adds another big name starter?
I put this at about 38.5%, Darren. I think that the Red Sox do need another starter. I think that would, if you slide a number 2 guy in there behind Price, that makes this team that much better. You look at a guy like Shelby Miller. Reportedly, the Red Sox and the Braves are a good match in terms of prospects and Miller. I think maybe you look at a guy like that. Maybe we revisit the Sonny Gray thing, even though the A's say he's not going anywhere. Or they find a guy in free agency. I think they need to add at least one more guy, and I think it's a top of the rotation kind of guy.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit lower. I'm going to say 25%. Dave Dombrowski said recently that he's kind of done making big moves. So I'll take the man for his word. Once again, like you said, maybe they add another starter, but maybe it's not that big name. Maybe it's more of a middle of the rotation, back of the rotation guy.
Oh, those sound like some reasonable percentages. Anyway, that does it for us here at the NESN Studios. Hopefully you're a lot more prepared now for the MLB winter meetings and the rest of the MLB offseason than you were coming into the show. They always say don't play with fire unless it's the hot stove, in which case, have at it.